These emotional coats like perfectionism, people pleasing, control become the clay that hides our inner radiance. But just like the Buddha, the gold is still there. Your true self has never been damaged, it's simply been covered. Welcome to A Quiet Mind, Fearless and Free, a podcast for those ready to quiet the mind, release fear, and step into the freedom of their true nature. I'm Leah Danley, a trauma-informed psychotherapist and dietitian with over 25 years of experience guiding people beyond the stories that keep them stuck. As the founder of the Quiet Mind Collective, I bring a blend of psychology and spirituality to help you move past the noise of the mind and reconnect with the deeper intelligence within. Each week, we'll explore a question to reflect on with curiosity and compassion. Whether it's taming the inner critic, surrendering control, or finding stillness in chaos, this is a space for deep listening, transformation, and remembering who you truly are. And hey, this podcast is for educational purposes only. So if you feel distressed at any point, it may be a signal that it's time to seek professional mental health or medical treatment. Now let's dive in. Welcome back to the Quiet Mind, Fearless and Free podcast. Season 1, From Fear to Freedom, Releasing Anxiety and Embracing Your True Self. I'm Leah Danley, and today we're exploring episode 3, Protective Patterns, the Coat Analogy. In our last episode, we uncovered the roots of our core beliefs, those deep stories we form early in life about who we think we are. Today, we're continuing that journey by exploring how those beliefs turn into behaviors and ways of thinking called protective parts or protective patterns. What I am calling for today's purpose, the coat analogy. These protective layers were once developed and worn for survival. They were essential to a young self caught in an overwhelming environment that she felt helpless to make sense of. But over time, these coats we put on can weigh us down, keeping us from fully living as our authentic selves. I'm also going to share a powerful story with you, the story many of you have already heard called the Golden Buddha. And I'm also going to share a personal experience from my own life where I realized I was looking outside myself for proof of my worth. Both of these will help us see how to begin loosening those protective patterns with compassion and clarity. So let's dive in. Imagine a young child, perhaps even yourself as a child, navigating the world. When life felt overwhelming, critical, or emotionally unsafe, the mind responded by creating protective layers, much like wearing coats. Each coat was designed to keep you safe. The perfectionist coat whispers, if I can do everything right, I'll avoid criticism. The people-pleasing coat says, if I make everyone happy, maybe I'll feel accepted or loved. The invisible coat feels like, if I stay small and quiet, I won't get hurt. The controlling coat may say, if I can control every detail, I'll stay safe from uncertainty and not have to feel helpless. These coats were needed once. They helped you cope, helped you survive, but over time, they may have stopped serving you. What once felt protective now feels heavy, like wearing winter gear in the middle of summer, lots of suffering and difficulty moving. And often we don't even realize we're wearing them. They become so familiar we think they are us, but they're not. They're just outdated layers trying to keep us safe from past pain. That reminds me of the powerful metaphor I want to share with you today, the story of the Golden Buddha. Centuries ago, there was a massive statue of a Buddha made entirely of gold. When invaders threatened the village, the monks covered the statue in layers of clay and mud to protect it from being stolen or destroyed. And it worked. The statue was forgotten, hidden beneath the layers for generations. It wasn't until much later, when a crack appeared in the clay, that someone noticed the shimmer of gold underneath. Slowly, the villagers chipped away the clay, revealing the radiant gold that had been there all along. I love this story because it mirrors what happens with us. As children, we come into the world essentially pure, radiant, whole, like the golden Buddha. When life feels painful or unsafe, we cover our true nature with protective layers. These emotional coats like perfectionism, people-pleasing, control, become the clay that hides our inner radiance. But just like the Buddha, the gold is still there. Your true self has never been damaged. It's simply been covered. And healing isn't about fixing yourself. It's about gently peeling back the layers that were never you in the first place. I want to share a personal story with you because I've worn these coats too. And for a long time, I didn't even realize it. When I was a young therapist, also a young mother, I unconsciously looked to my clients and my children as evidence of whether I was good enough. I thought if they're improving, if they're thriving, then I'm doing well, then I'm worthy. But that belief wasn't coming from truth. It was coming from the not good enough coat I had worn for years. And it led me to try to control things that were never mine to control. I would find myself overworking, trying to fix and manage everyone's outcomes. I didn't realize it at the time, but I was using their progress or lack of it as a mirror for my own value. And the truth is, it didn't work. It left me exhausted, burned out, and disconnected from both myself and the people I cared about. Worse, it was actually disrespectful to their own life paths, their personal curriculum. Each person, whether a client, a child, or a friend, has their own unique lessons to learn, and they're their responsibility. By trying to control their growth, I wasn't respecting their right to experience life on their own terms. Looking back, I can see it now. That coat was just a protective part of me in fear, afraid I wasn't good enough on my own, afraid I needed proof from the outside. But the truth, I've always been enough, and so have you. Here's the important thing. These coats were never a flaw. They don't mean you're broken. They were attempts to keep us safe, to keep us feeling loved, protected, and like we belonged. But you are not the coat. When you notice yourself wearing the perfectionism coat or the controlling coat, the goal isn't to criticize yourself for it. It's to pause and say, there's that old protective layer again. I must be having something inside that I'm not wanting to feel. And say, thank you for trying to keep me safe, but I'm okay now. Or depending on the circumstance, you may want to gently look into the lining of that coat and see what belief is it protecting you from, like a fear that you aren't good enough or that you don't matter. The healing begins not by forcefully ripping off the coat, but by becoming aware that you're wearing it, loosening the buttons, feeling the weight, and gently deciding if it's holding you back. So let's do a practice together. If it feels comfortable to you to close your eyes and you're in a safe place to do so, go ahead and do that. Make sure you can feel your body from head to toe, that you're fully present, and take a deep breath. Now, identify the coat you are often wearing. We have many. So reflect on a recent time you felt maybe anxious or angry or overwhelmed or reactive in some way. To discover which coat, reflect on what you were thinking and feeling. Also, what behavior were you already doing or did you start doing to mitigate the feeling? What program, combination of behavior, thoughts, feelings, and body sensations were you playing at that time? Was it the coat program called perfectionism? Was it the one called people pleasing? Control? Or even a crisis coat that comes in to shut the system down? And that could operate through sedation or distraction. This might look like overeating and TV watching as a child, but now when that coat comes on, it could operate with alcohol or sleeping a lot or just extreme overthinking and working as an adult. Now think the coat. And that may feel counterintuitive, but it's not there to hurt you. Think it for the intention to keep you safe, loved, belonging. Gently place a hand on your heart and say, I see you. I see you. I see the coat. I see the belief that it protects. And I see that child, that little child that's underneath it all. Now imagine loosening the buttons, unbuttoning, unzipping the coat just a little. You don't have to take it all off today. Just feel the space you create when you loosen that program just a little. It may feel a bit uncomfortable, but that means change is happening. If you never push the limits to what is familiar to you, you aren't changing. You're just repeating the old patterns. Now, take another breath and imagine that you're not going to change a thing right now. Instead, in this moment, you're simply going to soften the edges around your human condition. Imagine a hug wrapping you with love and acceptance all the way around the coat. At the same time, remembering the gold underneath it all has never left. You are not the coat. You are the one underneath it already whole. You just need to patiently and compassionately uncover the gold. This practice is about gentle awareness, no forcing, just noticing, just softening around your unique version of human. As you move through this week, I invite you to start noticing these protected coats with kindness, noticing the weight, not with judgment, but with curiosity. In what ways are they out wearing their usefulness? In what ways are they keeping you small or holding you back? The coats were never who you are. They were simply layers meant to keep you safe. And now you're an adult who has developed enough wisdom and safety in the present moment to begin questioning their usefulness in your life today. In our next episode, we'll explore deep listening, how quieting the mind and opening your heart can transform your relationships with yourself and others. You can also download my free meditation that takes you from the roller coaster of the mind to heart-centered peace. Use the link in the show notes. In addition, I would love for you to join me on this journey by following me on Instagram at Quiet Mind Collective with Leah. Each Sunday, I release a curiosity of the week to reflect on that goes along with the weekly podcast. Then on Friday, I do a live Q&A to integrate what we learned about ourselves. Thank you for being here with me. I am truly honored. I know you have lots of choice around how to spend your time. Remember, you are more than your stories. You are truly that holds it all. If today's message spoke to you, I'd love it if you'd share this with someone who might need to hear it. Remember, you are already whole, already worthy, and already free. Until next time, may you meet yourself with kindness and courage. If this reflection resonates with you, I invite you to follow me on Instagram at Quiet Mind Collective with Leah. In my bio there, you'll find a link to my free 15-minute meditation. It's a simple guide to help you step back from the roller coaster of the mind and reconnect with your heart-centered wisdom. Thank you for joining me on this journey. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share it with someone who might need this message, or leave a review to help others find this podcast. Stay tuned for upcoming episodes where we'll explore how to work with the past, navigate the conditioned mind, and untangle its sticky web, one step at a time. And hey, let's make this a two-way conversation. Drop me a message and let me know what resonated with you. I'm here for the stories and the connection too. Until next time, stay curious, stay present, and remember, you already have everything you need to be fearless and free.